In this day and age, we're overwhelmed by the amount of information that we can get out there, especially when it comes to wellness. And as human, we have this tendency to want to know more, to do more, and to do them faster. But that's really where the guilt begins. And in today's conversation, we're talking to Amelia. She's a lifestyle wellness influencer who has mastered the art of living abroad, as well as cultivating a supportive community. She's going to share exactly how she combats the anxiety, from starting with one thing to creating cookie jar. Are you intrigued? Let's dive in. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Soft Pie Project. And today we have a very exciting guest. Her name is Amelia, and she has a very interesting and unique background. And she's born in UK, lived in Korea, lived in Indonesia, and now in Singapore. And not only she cultivated a life in Singapore, she cultivated a following as well. And today we're going to hear about her experience living abroad, adjusting to different cultures, and really the importance of mental health, and especially a really exciting project that she is working on. So, hi, Amelia.
Hi, Sherry. Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor.
Oh my goodness, I'm so happy you're here. I've been waiting for this conversation for a very long
Me
time.
too.
Yeah. And, I think for anyone who's watching this on YouTube, as you can see, Amelia has a beautiful house. I'm always so
Oh,
jealous looking at your aesthetic online.
thank
It
you.
it just perfect. And yeah, I wanted to kind of dive in, and especially on your background, because I think it's just
Mm,
so incredibly interesting. And we almost kind of have this flipped experience where I was born in the East and went to the West to study
yeah,
for decades, but completely opposite
yeah.
experience. And I just wanted to know, what is that experience like, and what have you learned as going from a young woman? You mentioned that you graduated from college, and that's really when you started traveling, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So it was a funny time when I first moved abroad. Things had been great growing up, had parents that loved one another, but unfortunately they didn't always love one another, and they'd gone through a scary divorce. It was very intense for a lot of years, and when I moved away it was very much like getting that geographical space from
Oh,
things.
yeah.
It gave me a little bit of mental space, but it was a real challenge. And I think it's only now, as like a fully fledged adult, that I really realize quite how big that was to move to the other
Mhm.
side of the world. And then, obviously, as you mentioned, I've moved countries a couple more times. And each time you really have to start again, so to speak. There's nothing when you arrive. You don't have any family around you. You get a new home. Your job is new. Everything is new. So
Mhm.
it built a lot of resilience, the experience. And I just love it because you get to learn so much about other cultures. I'm sure you kind of experienced that when you went the other way.
Mhm.
But it really does force you to grow, and you're getting out of your comfort zone all the time then. And there was a lot of ups and downs for me along the way, which I'm sure we're going to get into, but
Mhm.
overall I absolutely love living abroad. I have enjoyed every country. Each one has taught me something. So yeah, it's been really positive overall.
Mm. And like what you said, I think it's that ability to start over and
Mm,
transform and start over again.
mm,
And yeah, absolutely. Like every time you moved, you have to start everything from scratch.
mm,
You don't know what's around you. You have to
right.
find your place again. I always find that finding apartment, it was one of the most difficult things because you
Yes.
don't even know the
Yeah.
neighborhood, right?
No, right.
Hmm.
Yeah. I think I didn't appreciate how much I'd actually gone through in moving countries until much later in life. When you're in it, it's sometimes hard to recognize just what you are bringing to it and how much resilience and strength you have to kind of up sticks and move. But now I really do see it. And I obviously meet a lot of women who are also going through it. And I just think it's a fantastic experience, but it's definitely not one without a lot of challenges.
Mm. I mean, I think that's a definite understatement. I mean, just wondering, how did you, because, when I go abroad and I still feel that I still have that memory wherever I go and, going to a new city, I always feel like I'm floating because I don't feel like I
Mm,
have any anchored. And then I had to kind of navigate my way through, but not always super successful. I lived in
yeah.
many different cities. I did not love every single one of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what's your experience like to kind of find that anchor? Or maybe that's not even necessary for you to have that anchored.
I'm really lucky in that me and my husband are very close. And so
Mm,
we've really, I think, over time become
right.
even closer through the experience and we anchor onto one another. And so I think having that has been fantastic. You already know a little bit about my background of struggling with my mental health, and it's been, a battle. And so, I won't pretend that it hasn't been fraught with the highs and the lows. Nowadays, I'm very much anchored in my daily habits. So I think that those foundations are what we can carry anywhere. And if you have that solid daily practices that keep you grounded, then you can always fall back onto that. And, as you know, I have something called the Happy Girl movement, which I am so excited about because that is rooted in exactly that, a practice of going for a walk every single day, which you can do anywhere in the world, right? And so I think it's that. I think, you can anchor to people, you can anchor to habits, but this journey, the physical one, changing countries, but also the mental one, have gone along in parallel. And it's only now, really, as I'm approaching 40, that I'm finding my feet. I feel like I finally really found me and got stable. Yeah, it's been a long road.
Oh, I understand.
A
I
long road.
understand. And I have to say congratulations. I mean, I noticed that you just celebrated this huge milestone, right? You've done walk every single day. And how many walks have you done?
So I'm just approaching 1,000 days of
Wow.
walking.
Oh my
Yeah, every
goodness.
single day. My rule is if I am well enough to get out that door, I go for a walk. There has only been a couple of times where I was bedridden and I didn't walk. But if I have a headache, if it's raining, if it's late in the day, I'm going for that walk because, as I said, it's such a grounding and foundational habit. And really, for me, that is where my life transformed. That's where I felt like I finally
Mm,
came back to me that had got lost, I think, in my very late teens and early 20s. I'm
yeah,
very excited about the 1,000 days and I'm not
I
stopping
know.
anytime soon.
So take me back to day zero. How did
Okay.
you start? I mean, what was that drive for you to go, okay, I'm going to do this every single day?
Okay. So I had tried for a really long time to become consistent with all these things that we feel we should do, right? I knew
Hmm.
that I needed to improve my mental health. Obviously, I'd also like to improve my physical health. I'd always enjoyed walking. I think walking is one of those things humans are supposed to be doing, right? Like we were walking long ago and I knew it made me feel great. But like I said, I was always so inconsistent. And the difference between then and now is that I used to try and overhaul my entire life. I'd be like, I'm starting a diet, I'm going to do a fitness plan, I'll take up this new hobby, rearrange my house, everything. And it's overwhelming when you do that. And so the difference this time was that actually I just set out to go for a walk as much as possible in January. And I was like, I'm going to just focus on this one habit for a change. And let's see
Mm,
if I can master one thing. And that really was the turning point. That is where I went from being quite honestly one of the most inconsistent people ever. That's what I would say I was, to now obviously being incredibly consistent. And the trick really is to approach things step by step, day by day.
mm. I mean, I cannot imagine you being inconsistent at
Man.
all.
Yeah, no, I I used to drive myself mad. And I think actually it contributed to a lot of my mental health problems because each time I would try to do something new and achieve these big goals I would set myself, I would then feel like a failure. I would feel like I've given up or I've quit and I'm useless. And that inner narrative, once that gets hold of those kind of words, it's really toxic. You know, it chips away at your confidence and your trust in yourself. And if you don't trust yourself, where are you really, right?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think what you said was so important is that, you mentioned the word should before, right?
Mm,
How we all thought that we should be doing all these different things and, all these different diets and fitness and
mm,
practices, breath work, everything. And there's so many available tools online these days.
right.
Yeah. And I think we talked about that in our chat, and that could be incredibly overwhelming.
Yes.
And I love it that you mentioned just picking
Yeah,
one thing that
absolutely.
you're actually, one thing that's not intimidating, one thing
Right.
that's easy for you to do,
Yeah.
right? Mm,
Yeah, I think these days, like you say, especially on social media, it is so easy to become bombarded,
mm,
overwhelmed by all of the shoulds. And the difference for me was really choosing one thing and trying to block out the rest of the noise. That is where everything changed. Previously, I would try so many things. If I found myself in a low point, and there's been a few in my life, um, it was like yo-yo dieting. I would
mm,
start, feel a little bit better, and then give up and then end up right back where I was in time. And so, really, when I began to be consistent, is when I saw consistent improvement. And so, I would say to anyone, if you're going to pick
uh-huh,
something, I love walking because it's free, it's accessible. You can literally do it anywhere. You don't need to be any kind of fitness level to start. And my challenge to people is if you go for a walk for 30 days, you promise yourself and you show up, especially on the days where you don't want to, if you manage that, by the time 30 days is done, you will feel so good that I would take a guess you will not want to stop because we know it's scientifically proven to boost your mood. But I think the real magic happens when you actually show up for yourself when you don't want to. It's that
right.
agency that you get from it, and you start to realize, wow, I'm
Mm,
actually capable, and that
mm,
trust in yourself builds. So,
mm,
yeah, I think it's all about picking one thing, starting small, getting consistent, and then stacking habits in time.
mm.
Yeah,
Yes, stacking habits.
stacking.
Atomic Habit, right?
Yes, exactly. I love that book. It's a great book.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And when you mentioned these yo-yo, that rhythm, just starting and then fail and feeling so
Mm,
guilty,
mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to think back how many times I have done that. And I think for me, which is really funny, most people love writing and diary. I don't know if
Right.
that would be one of
Yeah.
your practice. For me, it's always been really hard. I don't know
Mm,
why. Like
mm,
writing things down, like
mm.
actually doing two sentences, I'm like, I'm done. I'm so like, I don't want to write anymore.
Yeah.
So that's always something that I would buy so many books and you just
Mm.
like beautiful diaries, and I will write
Yes.
one page and that's
Yeah. Yeah.
and I'll feel so guilty. But
Yeah.
then I realize for me, what I love is actually movement, So me pushing myself to go to the gym, I don't actually need to push.
Mm.
It's easier for me to do that, but I only
Right.
give me like 20 minutes. So something achievable.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think movement is amazing because it's like medicine, right? And if we're talking about mental health terms, they are now proving there's scientific evidence that it can be more effective than medication for people.
Mm,
So that in itself is huge, but I do think you have to be consistent. And I think you've said it there, like 20 minutes, that's great. You showed up. Like we have to make it easy for ourselves to be winning. My thing was
mhm,
always saying, oh, I need to go for a walk for, an hour, 5 kilometers. Rules
mm,
like that actually we think that they're making us strive for more, but quite often they're setting us up for failure. We want to make it so that we can win, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think what you said there, sometimes we build confidence through action. We don't gain
Mm,
confidence
hmm.
right away, right? It's
No.
because we showed up for ourselves and we trust ourselves.
Yeah.
And then that's really when we can see the confidence.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for a very long time, I was in a place where I was consuming a lot of things to help myself. I was listening
Mm,
to all the podcasts, reading all the books, and I
yeah.
almost became, stuck in this cycle where I would just absorb more information, but not
Mm-hmm.
actually put any of it into practice. And
Mm,
again, it's that overwhelm that we can create. And I think really what my walking habit helped me do was clear my mind and
mm,
actually get focused on just the one thing. And through time, like you said, the action led to the mental changes.
mm-hmm. And then now, actually, you're building a community of
Yeah.
these beautiful women going on walks with you.
Yep.
I mean, tell me
Yep.
about that.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm so excited about this. So, my habit, obviously, from the beginning, I was sharing it online. And within a couple of weeks, I started getting messages from people who would say things like, "Oh, I just went on a walk because I was having a bad day and I feel great. Thanks." Or somebody messaged me and said they'd walked for 65 days and started their own streak. And so, I began to really see the effects of the ripple that you can create around you. And now I feel like I have reached a point where I have all this knowledge that's been through my self-led journey that I want to share with other people. And I want a space where people can be inspired to pursue their own walking streak or simply have access to tools that can help them to make small changes that will add up and create a foundation for them to lead a happier and healthier life.
Hmm. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
how many people have joined you on the walk recently?
Okay, so our first ever walk, we had a limit because of rules in Singapore. So 30 people came, but the wait list was
Uh,
just as long,
oh
which
my
was
goodness.
really cool for the first one. The second one, we've got more than 70 people signed up at this moment.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, it will be even bigger. And for the day 1000 celebration, I'm
Mm-hmm.
aiming to have 1000 people go for a walk. Not all in person, because that would be really, really intense. Maybe one day, who knows? But just around
Mm-hmm.
the world on that day, I'm asking for
Wow.
1000 people to come for a walk. We're seeing if we can do that. So I've kind of called on everyone to get their friends involved and just spread that message. And for me, it's really about that ripple effect and empowering others to, you know, influence and inspire their friends to do
Mm-hmm.
positive things for themselves as well.
Right. Yeah. When
Yeah.
would that be? What date is that?
October 5th. I'm
All
so
right.
excited. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to go for a walk?
Yeah.
Okay, great. You're in.
Let's
You're
do that.
in. We're
Yeah.
yeah, we're raising funds for Samaritans of Singapore who
Uh-huh.
do really amazing work in suicide prevention. So anyone who walks is donating $10 and our
Mm-hmm.
target is $10,000 to go towards them. All proceeds go to them. I just think it's an amazing cause. It's very close to my heart. And yeah, why not, right? I mean, a walk's a beautiful thing to go do. I always say I have never gone for a walk and felt worse,
That's
ever.
very true. Yes.
Right? Have
That's
you
very,
ever?
very true.
I sometimes
No.
ask people that
Mm-mm.
question. Yeah.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
No, right?
Yeah, no. But I think lately I've actually started to do one thing is that I don't listen to anything, usually I'll
Mm.
put like music.
Yeah.
I don't listen to anything because I actually wanted to just have that silence in my
Yes.
head because
Yes.
it's just so hard to get that these days.
Yes, yeah, I absolutely love that, and I agree. Sometimes I'll use my walks if I have a podcast that I want to listen to, and I'm just in that frame of mind. But quite
Hmm.
often, I'm just walking and I'm looking at nature. I'm listening to the world around me. I love to observe everybody else what they're doing on
Right.
their walks.
Hmm.
And it really does clear your mind. You set the rhythm of your brain waves and you get that little boost of endorphins. And I always feel like about 10 to 15 minutes in, I can feel that shift. My favorite
Mm.
saying is move your body, shift your mind.
Mm.
And I'm sure you've noticed it. Like you can just
Yeah.
feel the day sort of float away. If it's late in the day, it just
Right.
kind of eases, that pressure
Mm,
goes. And by the end, yeah, I always feel a bit better wherever I began my walk.
absolutely. And also, I think for all the listeners, if you're listening to this, you can go on a walk and listen to this
Yes, yes,
podcast.
exactly, exactly.
So I wanted to kind of shift the question a little bit. You mentioned that, obviously mental health is so important. That's kind of
Mhm.
started everything. And as an influencer, because, you are an creator, influencer,
Mm.
how has sharing your vulnerability or your life online shaped how you see mental health, or has it changed anything at all for you?
Okay. Well, I think in the early days of sharing online, I wasn't really that intentional about it. And I think I was shaped by the outside world. So I would kind of be influenced by what I was consuming and want to fit in. And maybe that's something that you do when you're younger as well.
Yeah.
But as I've grown and also working with a therapist, I really started to work out what are my core values, like what is internally driven, not an external construct. And so once I started sharing in a way that felt more aligned with me, then it actually became so enjoyable. And I
Mm,
experienced that positive feedback loop where the content I'm putting out, I'm getting those great messages from people. And that was like it became like my accountability buddy, really.
mm,
And in the early days of my habit, it was certainly that. So I think social media is a strange space to exist in and work in because you really do have to work to make sure what you're consuming is not encroaching on your own beliefs or shaping them too much. But of course it is a challenge. You have to be very aware of it, but it's possible to do. It's definitely possible to curate your feed and be aware if you're not in a great headspace not to be online too much that particular day. Those are the kind of practices that I now put in place. And
mm.
that's really helped me because my relationship with certainly Instagram was a love hate one for a very long time.
Same here.
Yeah, right. I mean, I can't say I
Yeah.
still don't
Mm,
have occasional days, you know?
mm, mm, mm,
But certainly, I feel like I'm using it now as a positive tool in my life. Like I
mm.
mentioned, the
Mhm,
accountability is great for me. I think everyone can benefit from that. And it feels wonderful and like I found my purpose to be able to share
mm,
something that can, even if it just inspires one person, that makes me feel great. I love
mm.
that.
And I think what you said was really important. And I think it's a good takeaway for anyone, even if they're not influencers, that using
Mm,
social media as something that can be helpful for you. So
yes.
you can definitely curate your
Yeah.
feed, what you wanted to see, what you don't want to see,
Hmm.
and be very intentional about that so that you're
Yeah.
not bombarded with any information that actually make you feel worse.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that everyone needs to start to understand and actually practice that in
Yeah.
life.
Yeah. I think intentionality is the biggest lesson I had. When you start to do everything with intention,
Hmm.
then life gets really good. That's been my experience. And that can be from anything, social media, your morning routine, your evening routine. But again, don't try and do it all at once. I really, really think that you've got to go one at a time. That's where you'll find success.
Mm. And you mentioned a little bit, I'm wondering if you're okay that we kind of dive in a little bit of that, is that you mentioned that you went to therapy and
Hmm.
you shared that online actually, and you
Yeah.
had some feedback
Yeah.
from your followers that
Yeah.
because it is something that not everyone talks about, especially
Right.
I think in Asia, it's
Right.
still something that people don't quite want it to admit publicly that they're going to therapy. And I go to therapy. I see that as an investment for
Yeah.
myself.
Absolutely.
So do you mind sharing a little bit about
No.
kind of why you want to go to therapy and like, the insight and just what you've learned from that experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think you're absolutely right that there is still a little bit of a stigma around it. And I certainly see that when I do share or talk about any of these kind of issues, the messages that I get are typically from Singaporean people. So I'm not sure how it is where you are, but there is that feeling that it needs to be hidden still.
Yeah.
Truthfully, I think anyone can benefit from going to therapy. Like, right? Like
Yeah.
anyone, you don't have to have a mental health issue that you're
No.
struggling with. You can just
Mhm.
make your life better. Like, we work on our
Mhm.
bodies in the gym, you know? Why are we not working on our minds? Our minds are, in charge. I call it the HQ. So my experience, first time I went to therapy was when I was at university. It was a really
Mhm.
dark time for me. As I mentioned, my parents were divorcing. I'd taken it upon myself to try and help them. And I'd just forgotten to take care of myself. And so that was my first experience. And then I've worked with coaches and therapists over the years. And I think it's just fantastic to have somebody who can lead the way for you, be your cheerleader. I've worked with such amazing women who have really helped me to take a new perspective on how I'm looking
Mhm.
at a situation. And that's quite often all that you need. Like sometimes we get so hyper focused on
Mhm.
one particular thing and we're often being very hard on ourselves. That's that negativity bias coming into play, right? Just thinking how
Mhm.
badly something went or how badly it's going to go. And having an external voice to just guide your brain down another path. Because if we can create as many paths as we like in our brain,
Yeah.
but not everybody feels that a lot of the time. Sometimes we get stuck, and I have been stuck my fair share of times, been
Mhm.
very stuck and felt very hopeless. So I think if you find yourself at a place like that, therapy is a wonderful tool to help you get
Mhm.
unstuck and start moving forwards again.
Mhm. Mhm. No, absolutely. I feel like everyone gets stuck. I think I went to therapy because I was going through the custody battle with my for
Mm,
my kid, and that was just so foreign to me, and it was so difficult for me to navigate that I felt like I really needed to talk to someone who isn't actually family or friends because
yeah.
again, that experience is so unique, right? And I didn't feel comfortable sharing that with my loved ones. But that helped me tremendously. And I stayed like 2.5 years and actually ended up not talking about that at all. Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the best thing about therapy or coaches is that they helped you to look at things in a perspective where they even like mirror like, hey, this relationship you're talking about, that kind of
Yep.
mirrors your relationship with your mom,
Yes.
your dad, right?
Yes, right. I think it is a really eye-opening experience being in therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the stuff that you learn about yourself and you see those connections like you're talking about, where you're
Yes.
like, wait, I'm doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think awareness is always the first step, right? You've got to be aware
Mm-hmm.
of what your thinking patterns are, your behaviors are. And once you have that, then you can start to make a change. And it doesn't happen overnight. Again, it's that step by
Mm-hmm.
step, day by day. But if you're consistent, I'm a big believer you can change anything. If you put your mind
Mm-hmm.
to it, you can change
Yeah,
anything.
absolutely. And I think your life and your experience is a testament of being comfortable in discomfort.
Yeah.
You're I feel like you're constantly going through these transformation, but you have this drive to just make your life better. And
Yeah.
I think that's just so beautiful.
Thank you. That means a lot because I was not always like this. I honestly, between you and I, used to avoid discomfort at all costs. So
Oh,
that looked
yeah.
like emotional eating. I don't know if anyone can relate to that one. As soon as things would become hard, I would be burying my head in the sand as long as I could. And really, what changed was when I shifted from seeing discomfort as something to avoid as an opportunity for growth,
Mm,
because that really is what it is. We feel it when we're pushing outside of our norm, we're doing something new. The trick is to only nudge yourself forward, because if you try to go from where you are right now in your comfort zone to way, way outside,
mhm,
of course, the body and the brain is going to react. And then you can end up in a bit of a sticky situation, which I learned the hard way. I ended up in what I call a comfort crisis,
mm,
where I had slowly, without realizing, avoided discomfort so much that it became painful, like incredibly
mm,
uncomfortable to do normal daily things. So, for
mm,
example, going for a coffee with a girlfriend, my heart would be racing, I would feel panicked, sometimes I would be sweating. And
mm,
being in that place was so hard. And what I realized is I'd let that happen. I'd just let my world close in around me without realizing. And so it's been a
mm,
very long journey, and something I love to do, which definitely any of the listeners could try, is I set myself little mini challenges every month where I just set
mm,
couple of things that give me those initial butterflies, but I know when I go do them afterwards, I am going to feel amazing. It's those kind of
mm,
things that give you that confidence, and you think to yourself, you know what? Like, I'm way more capable than I think. And
mm,
that is priceless. Once you look back, you realize something that was once impossible is now kind of easy. And
mm,
that's magical feeling. I love it.
mm.
So thank you for noticing.
No, of course. I mean, but I'm so curious, like, what's your goals now, or that gives you that little butterfly in your stomach?
This, Sherry, being on a podcast. So many things still, because I had really got to a very dark place with anxiety. I was having panic attacks. I was seriously depressed. If we were to rewind,
Mm,
5 years ago, going to a group event was an impossible thing. I couldn't set foot in a gym because I just couldn't even think about it. It would give me a panic
mhm,
attack days before. And so it's been a very long road, and there are still plenty of things that make me anxious because I was coming from back there.
mm,
But I'm really pleased to say that I now go to the gym. I go and have coffee with friends, and all of
mhm,
those once impossible things for me are now great fun
mm,
again, which is,
mm.
it's a relief. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
It's a relief to be able to just live normally,
Mhm, mhm.
you
Right.
know. Yeah.
Now, is there anything that you would tell yourself when you still encountered that, that you feel like, ooh, is that going to lead me to anxiety attack? Or maybe just a thought of it. Do you have anything that you would tell yourself, or any practices that you do to kind of help yourself to ease away from that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm quite structured in my approach with it now.
Mm,
So I actually, as I spoke about before, used to do things that were way too far outside my comfort zone
right.
and just try and, you know, batten down the hatches and let's get through this and I'll be fine. And I was not fine, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm very intentional about, like, where is this feeling on the scale for me? How much
Mm,
nerves am I feeling? Am I going to be okay doing this? I will often spend a bit of time just writing before an event, reminding myself of the little reframes. A huge one for me was I used to try and show up and feel I had to be perfect. Perfectionism. How many of us have been a victim of that? And
mm,
so I have a little mantra in my head that I'm like, I was born to be real, not perfect. And it's human, right? And trying to just let go of that pressure on myself. because nobody else is perfect. Nobody is perfect. So I will
Mm-hmm.
repeat mantras like that to myself before going to something. And then afterwards, I will always spend some time reflecting because it's really important to lock in those wins. So, what went well in that? What was great? And if something didn't go so great, okay, give myself grace. Like it wasn't as good as I'd hoped, but what did I do well? What did I enjoy? What did I learn? What could I work on next time? So that each
Mm-hmm.
one is a learning experience, right? And
Mm,
that's the growth that I'm talking about.
mm. No, so that was beautiful. So again, before the event or anything that you're a little bit uncomfortable, you will
Hmm.
write it out, or maybe you'll do some reframing mantra. And afterwards, you will actually collect the wins, right?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
I think it's so
Yeah.
important. I think we're often so busy, right? We've got so much going on in our lives. We just jump to the next thing and we don't reflect on how well we actually have just done something, you know? And it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
have to be a huge celebration, but you can write it
Mm-hmm.
down. I keep a record in my notes app on my phone. I
Mm-hmm.
call it my cookie jar, and it is just
Oh.
filled with all of these small things that many people might think were nothing, but to me, they are
Mm-hmm.
huge. And if I'm feeling a little bit unstable, nervy, I will glance over that list and it just gives me that little boost. I will often read it just before I go to something that's giving me those butterflies.
Mm-hmm.
And that feeling that I take away then is like, yeah, no, you felt like this before and you were fine and you're gonna
Mm-hmm.
be fine again.
Mm. Oh my goodness. I think that's really useful. I
Yeah,
wanted to do
yeah.
that.
Yeah, try it. It really works so well. It's just great to
Mm.
notes app. My notes app is filled with these kind of things, but that's one of my favorites that I return to all the time. Just that little
Mm.
reminder of evidence, right? Proof that you've actually got
Yes.
it and you're going to be fine.
Right, right. Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that you are giving such practical tools
Yes.
because I think we all need these reminder. I think a lot of things, yeah, logically it makes sense. We all know that we shouldn't feel this way, we should feel that way. But again, like we need that reminder because we kind of sabotage ourselves
Oh,
all the time.
queen of self-sabotage over here. All of it. You name the problems. I've had them. Yeah, I used to sabotage myself a lot. I think just building in little habits that
Mm,
can anchor you in a moment or give you a boost in a moment is the one. And, it's not convenient to carry your journal and sit down for a full session, but like just
mm,
in your notes app, one or two sentences, often in a taxi on the way to somewhere, or,
mm.
it's just makes it real and livable, doable.
Mm. No, I mean, I want to share this with you because right before this interview, I was feeling a little like imposter syndrome and just feeling like a little down. But then I'm like, wait a second, I get to interview Amelia and I get to talk to
No.
her. That's going to be the highlight of today. So I'm just going to enjoy that.
Thank you. Thank you. Imposter syndrome. She is a meanie. Seriously. The crazy
Yeah.
thing is, so many of us have it, right? I feel like
Mm-hmm.
it's one of those universal human experiences. Everybody has that moment where they're like, wait, am I good enough? Like, can I do this?
Mm-hmm.
What am I doing? And it eases my mind to realize that everybody feels that way, right?
Yep. Yep. And sometimes it creeps up, right?
Mm-hmm.
It just like
Mm-hmm.
creeps up on you and you're like, oh, hey, you're here again. Why
Go
are you here?
away. Yeah. I recently shared something on Happy Girl Movement about
Mm-hmm.
naming your brain, the voice in your brain that is
Yes. Mm-hmm.
saying those kind of things. And what it
Mm-hmm.
does is it actually creates that space between you and the thoughts so that
Right.
hey, that's not actually me. And
Right.
I call mine Becky. So, when Becky chimes in, sometimes I will out loud, and I probably look, some people would be looking at me strange, like, who is she talking to? But I don't care. I'll just be like, Becky? No. Like, not today.
Mm-hmm.
Today is not the day for this. And it
Mm.
really, it's a weird thing. A neuroscientist would explain it better than I ever could, but it just creates that
Yes.
cognitive that space for you to realize, hey, I'm not my thoughts.
Right. Because a lot of times, like, where is that voice coming from?
Yeah.
Is it actually from you? Is it from
No.
someone else? Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
it's a meanie. My Becky's really mean sometimes, so I would highly suggest you give yours a name and tell her to go away.
yeah.
Yeah.
She'll name it Becky. No, I feel bad for Becky.
I know,
Pushing
any real Becky's, no
no,
no
it's
shade.
no worry. I I think there's so much that you shared today
Thank
that there
you.
are like little bits and things and tools that we can use. Again, it's all
Mm,
about starting small and just pick one
100%.
thing.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you, and I ask every single guest this question,
Okay.
is that how do you define soft power? What does it mean to you?
Okay, I think we touched on this very briefly, but
Yeah.
I think soft power is something that we all have inside of us. I think it's showing up authentically, being who you are, and then it's that ripple effect that happens around you. I've seen it in my life. I mentioned the women who message me and say, I'm having an awful day, and I went for a walk and I feel better. And I mean, isn't that amazing the way that we can show up and then we can inspire others? So, if I was to summarize it, I think soft power is the quiet influence that we can have over the people around us just by
Wow.
showing up for ourselves.
Wow, I love that. That's
Yeah.
so different. I love that.
You think
Um,
so?
yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And when you're actually just talking about your principle, how you
Hmm.
go from doing a lot, wanting to be perfect to just do one thing. And to me, that sounds like a soft power as well, because you know how to balance. It's about the
Hmm.
balance, right? It's
Hmm.
not about overachieving, not about doing everything. It's about picking what's actually good for you in the moment.
Right.
And to me, that was a very soft power ethos
Oh,
that you
well,
had.
thank you. I love that. Coming from you, you're the embodiment of soft power. You're
Oh my
giving
God.
women a platform to share their stories, and that's incredible. I mean, to me, yeah, you
Oh,
are soft power, Sherry.
thank you. Thank you. I mean, that really means a lot. It means a lot, especially, my Becky earlier was telling me I
Hmm.
wasn't enough.
You are enough. You are more than enough. We are all enough. I wish I could shout that to people some days, you know? I show up online each day. I try and be as authentic as I can. Of course, for me, there are sometimes those days where, it's not roses, and I try and share
Mm-mm.
that as well. But my purpose feels like trying to inspire other women to be kinder to themselves, to carve out that tiny bit of time in a day. I mean, the walk is, in my opinion, one of the best things
Mhm.
that you can do. But whatever that
Mhm.
time is, I just love more women to live happier and healthier lives. And
Yeah.
I try to share things that let them see that is achievable. And it doesn't have
Hmm.
to be a case of doing everything, right?
Right, absolutely. And, in the very beginning, you mentioned that now, I think as we get older, we're just more comfortable with
Mhm.
ourselves and actually finally feel like we're just being who we are. Do you have any advice for the younger women out there?
It's a tough one, isn't it? It's a tough world out there these days. I mean, I'm still struggling some days as an adult. My advice would certainly be around that all or nothing mindset. Be
Uh,
really cautious of that because it's overwhelming when you try and do it all. I would always come back to the idea that consistency beats perfection every single time. You don't have to, let's say the case is walking. You don't have to go for a 5 kilometer walk. You don't have to go for an hour. You can just go for 10 minutes. If you are having a bad day, just go outside. Just see the
yeah.
world and realize it's still going on around you. And that would probably be my advice. And if I was ever speaking to my younger self, that's what I wish I could say. I often think about that one. What would you tell your younger self?
Thank you for turning that around.
Uh,
Um, honestly, I think a lot of times my younger self probably wouldn't listen to a lot of advice.
ah.
I think of because I felt like my younger self is always like, "Oh, I can do everything," and try
Yeah.
to be perfect and try to fit into a lot of different boxes. But I almost feel like it's because all the things that I've gone through, difficulty, hardship, that softened me a
Hmm.
lot and
Hmm.
made me just be able to take a step back and look at my life. It's just, it's fun. We're here to actually just enjoy life, and you have a choice to make. You
Yep.
can decide it if you wanted to be content today or you wanted
Yeah.
to, just feel crappy
And
about this
suffer.
teeny tiny thing that you said
Yes.
8 years ago.
Yes. Oh gosh, the brain loves to remind you, doesn't it? That's Becky again. She's always bringing up those old mistakes.
Yeah.
No, I 100% agree. I think it's funny because I certainly believe the most testing times in our lives are the ones that grow us. We talked about that uncomfortable, discomfort. I think that's what shapes us. That's what shows us who we are, builds our resilience. Yeah, I think if you can zoom out and look at your life and the trend is upwards, then you're doing okay, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. It's about, I think I did a post on zooming out and you talked about looking it back, right? That was kind of the
Mm.
similar thing that you thought,
Yes,
right?
look back lens, I call that.
Yeah, yeah, look
That's
back
where,
lens. Yeah.
yeah, I look at it because it's really easy in the moment to think, this isn't going well. Like you were talking about, on a day, you can wake up and just feel like, why am I doing this? I can't do
Mm-hmm.
this. This is too hard. But if you actually do put on your look back lens and go, hang on,
Mm-hmm.
3 years ago,
Yeah.
I didn't even manage this, this, and this. Suddenly,
Mm-hmm.
you will feel so much more confident in what you're doing. And I think just giving yourself that grace of like, look how much I have achieved already. It's
Mm-hmm.
that boost again, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm so excited about the walk
Thank
and
you.
your achievement. That's amazing that you
Oh, thank
literally have
you.
a parade going on the street. Think about that.
I know. I try not to think about it actually, Sherry, because
Okay. Sorry.
if I didn't mention, I had really bad anxiety, and a lot of it was social. No, I love it. I love seeing women show up. It's wonderful. I hope one day that like Happy Girl movement can be
Mm,
a global thing, and people can
yeah.
be in different cities and meet up with other women who share the beliefs, want to grow, want to show up for themselves each day, and then they can walk together. But for now, we're in Singapore mostly.
Hmm.
We do have some people dotted around the world, but yeah, it is a wonderful feeling to see people talking together. And I remember in our very first walk, some people were sharing stories about them sort of mental health journeys. And I just thought, how great is that? We've
Mm,
facilitated a safe space
yeah.
where people can show up, be honest, because a lot of energy can go into hiding those things. And that
Yeah.
certainly drained me for a lot of my life. I think once you bring
Mm,
things out into the light, they are a lot
mm-hmm.
easier to handle.
100%. I think that
Mhm.
was my biggest turning point this year and deciding to do this podcast is that I'm just going to be vulnerable and talk about things that I've done, things I wanted to hide before. It's really freeing and
Freeing.
yeah, and it's actually so I think that's why you're able to create a safe space for people because people can trust you
Yeah,
because you're
I
able to
hope so.
share.
Yeah, yeah, I certainly try for that. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, I'm so happy that you're here and just it's such an honor. And I have all of your information in the description box so everyone could check it out. Follow Amelia. Her home is beautiful.
Oh, thank you, Sherry. It's my haven.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. And hopefully there is a part two and we can celebrate 2000 walks.
Wow, that's a way off. I mean, I don't see myself stopping the walking anytime soon. So yeah,
Yeah.
sure, I'm in. Sign me up. Put it in the calendar. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. I'm really honored. I said that at the beginning. This means so much to me that you invited me on here to chat with you. It's been really enjoyable. I love what you do. I think you need to tell Becky to be quiet and let you get
Yeah.
on with what you're doing because you're sharing people's
Yeah.
messages, and that's amazing. And isn't that the beauty of our world, that we can connect with people everywhere and uplift and inspire other people?
Yeah. And I think you wrap it up so beautifully. So thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, thank you everyone for listening. And we'll talk to you next time.